Boy gives his lunch to a homeless man, but when his dad finds out, his reaction. Richard Miller gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He had just watched his 6-year-old son Ethan hand over the lunch Jennifer had so lovingly prepared to a homeless man on the corner of Broadway Avenue. "Ethan!" he shouted through the car window, making the boy turn around in surprise. The gray-bearded man receiving the sandwich also startled, clutching the wrapped food with trembling hands. Richard jerked the car to a stop and stepped out. His face was flushed with anger as he marched toward his son. Ethan, his big brown eyes wide, took a step back, still crouched near the man sitting on the sidewalk. "Daddy, I was just—" "Get in the car, now," Richard ordered, his voice sharp. As a razor, the homeless man tried to hand the sandwich back, but Ethan, though frightened, pushed it gently toward him again. "No, Mr. Michael, it's yours, I promised." Richard grabbed his son's arm and pulled. The boy stumbled but didn't cry. He only looked back, watching Mr. Michael clutch the sandwich to his chest, his eyes brimming with tears. Inside the car, the silence was suffocating. Ethan sat curled up in the back seat, watching his father through the rearview mirror. Richard drove with jerky movements, honking more than necessary. "How many times have your mother and I told you not to talk to strangers?" Richard's voice shook with anger. "But Daddy, Mr. Michael isn't a stranger. I talk to him every day when Mummy picks me up from school." Richard slammed on the brakes so hard Ethan lurched forward, saved only by his seatbelt. The father turned around, his face a mask of disbelief. "Every day? You're telling me you talk to that homeless man every day?" Dear listener, if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Ethan shrugged, but held his gaze steady. "He's not homeless. Daddy, he's Mr. Michael. He tells me stories while Mummy buys bread at the bakery. Does Jennifer know about this?" The boy shook his head. Richard started driving again, slower now, processing the information. When they arrived home, a middle-class apartment building in Park Slope, he practically dragged Ethan inside. Jennifer was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Her face lit up when she saw her son, but her expression quickly darkened as she noticed the tension between father and son. "What happened? Richard, why are you holding Ethan like that?" "I caught our son giving food to a homeless man, and it's not the first time. He's been doing this for months, Jennifer, months." Jennifer dropped the wooden spoon and knelt in front of Ethan. "Is this true, sweetheart?" The boy nodded, his eyes welling up. "I just wanted to help. Mr. Michael is hungry, Mum. He told me sometimes he goes 3 days without eating." Richard scoffed, running a hand through his hair. "And you believe that?" "Jennifer, we need to have a serious talk about safety. That man could be dangerous." Richard, calm down. Jennifer tried to mediate. "Let's talk about this rationally." "Calm down. Our son is putting himself at risk, and you want me to stay calm?" Ethan began to cry softly. Jennifer hugged him, shooting a disapproving look at her husband. "You're scaring him." "Good. Maybe now he'll learn not to do something so foolish." Jennifer stood up, still holding Ethan's hand. "Ethan, go to your room. Daddy and I need to talk." The boy climbed the stairs slowly, glancing back with every step. When the bedroom door closed, Jennifer turned to Richard. "You overreacted." "Overreacted? Jennifer, our son is out there vulnerable, talking to a stranger." "He's 6, Richard. He was trying to help someone. Is that so wrong?" "It's dangerous. Don't you read the news? Don't you know what's happening out there?" Jennifer sat at the kitchen table, rubbing her temples. "I know you're worried, but the way you handled this," Ethan was terrified. "Better terrified than—" Richard didn't finish the sentence, but Jennifer understood. "Than what? Kidnapped? Dead?" "Richard, not everyone on the street is a criminal. But not everyone is harmless either." The couple fell silent for a few minutes. The aroma of tomato sauce on the stove grew too strong, and Jennifer got up to stir it. "I'll talk to him," Richard finally said. "No, let him process it. Tomorrow we'll talk, all 3 of us together." Richard reluctantly agreed and went to his office. Jennifer finished preparing dinner, but the meal was quiet and tense. Ethan barely touched his food. The next day, Richard left early for work. He was a manager at a tech company in downtown New York City and had an important meeting. The whole way there, he couldn't stop thinking about his son and the homeless man. As he passed the corner where he'd found Ethan the day before, he slowed down. The man was there in the same spot, wearing the same worn-out clothes. Richard watched him for a few seconds before speeding up again. At the office, his secretary, Sarah, noticed his distraction. "Richard, is everything okay? You seem worried." "Just family stuff, Sarah, nothing serious." But it was serious. During the meeting, Richard caught himself drifting off, wondering what kind of person that Michael was. Was he really dangerous? Or just a hungry man, like Ethan had said? Meanwhile, at home, Jennifer tried to keep things normal. Ethan was unusually quiet, playing half-heartedly with his toy cars. "Sweetie, want to help me bake some cookies?" Ethan looked up hopefully. "Can I take some to Mr. Michael?" Jennifer sighed. "We need to talk about that when Daddy gets home." "Daddy hates Mr. Michael." "No, honey. Daddy's just worried about you. But Mr. Michael never hurt me. He just tells me stories and thanks me for the snacks." Jennifer sat beside her son on the living room rug. "What kind of stories does he tell?" Ethan's eyes brightened a little. "He told me he had a son, like me, that they lived in a house with a garden, but then bad things happened and he lost everything." "What bad things?" Ethan shrugged. "He didn't say. Just that life can be hard sometimes, but seeing my kindness made him believe there are still good people in the world." Jennifer's heart ached. She hugged her son tightly. "You really are a good person, sweetheart. But Daddy's right to be careful. Not everyone can be trusted." "But how will I know who to trust if I can't talk to anyone?" The question caught Jennifer off guard. It was too deep for a 6-year-old. That afternoon, while running errands for school supplies, Jennifer paid extra attention when passing the bakery. There he was, sitting in his usual spot. He gave Ethan a timid wave, and Ethan waved back from the car window. Jennifer parked a little farther ahead. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Stay in the car, Ethan. Lock the doors and don't get out for any reason." She stepped out and walked toward the man. Michael looked up, surprised. "You're Ethan's mother?" It wasn't a question. Jennifer nodded. "Yes, I wanted to talk to you." Michael tried to stand, but Jennifer motioned for him to stay seated. She crouched down, keeping a safe distance. "My son's been giving you food." "Yes, Mom, he's a very special boy. I tried to refuse at first, but he insisted so much. I'm sorry if I caused any trouble." Jennifer studied the man's face. His eyes were kind, though tired. His hands trembled slightly, but didn't seem threatening. "How long have you been in this situation?" Michael lowered his gaze. 3 years, ma'am. I lost my job. Then my wife got sick. The hospital bills took everything. When she passed, I couldn't get back on my feet." "And your son?" Michael's eyes filled with tears. "Joshua. He was Ethan's age when my sister had to take him in. I couldn't take care of him. I haven't heard from him in 2 years." Jennifer felt a lump in her throat. She looked back and saw Ethan watching from the car window. "Have you tried seeking help? Shelters? Social programs?" "Yes, ma'am, but it's hard. No documents, no address, it's a vicious cycle." Jennifer stood up. "My husband is worried about Ethan's safety." "He's right," Michael said quickly. "If I had a young son, I wouldn't want him talking to strangers on the street either. I'll move to another spot, ma'am. I don't want to cause trouble for your family." "No," Jennifer surprised herself with her own intensity. "I mean, let's handle this differently." She returned to the car where Ethan waited eagerly. "Did you talk to him, Mom? Is he okay?" "He is, sweetheart. Let's go home." On the drive, Jennifer grew thoughtful. How could she explain to Richard what she'd felt talking to Michael? How could she make him understand that not everyone on the street was a threat? At home, she packed a hearty lunch and gathered some of Richard's old clothes. Ethan watched closely. "What are you doing, Mom?" "Thinking, honey. Just thinking." When Richard came home that night, he found Jennifer and Ethan curled up on the couch watching TV. The normalcy of the scene eased his tension. "Hey, family." "Hi, Dad," Ethan murmured. Richard sat beside them. They stayed quiet for a while, just watching the news. "Dad," Ethan finally said, "I'm sorry for disobeying." Richard sighed and hugged his son. One who should apologize, champ. I yelled at you and I shouldn't have. I was just worried. I know. But Mr. Michael is nice, Dad, I swear. Jennifer seized the moment. Richard, I talked to him today. Her husband stared at her. You what? Relax. Ethan stayed in the car, doors locked. I just wanted to understand his situation. Dad, Jennifer recounted the conversation, Michael's story, the son he'd lost. Richard listened silently, his expression growing pensive. Still, Jennifer, we can't be sure it's true. I know. But Richard, what if it is? What if he's just a man who's had a hard life and is trying to survive? What if he's not? Ethan cut in. Dad, you always say we should help others. At church, Father Thomas talks about charity. Why? Is Mr. Michael different? Richard had no answer. His 6-year-old had just exposed a contradiction he didn't want to face. It's complicated, son. Why? Because the world is dangerous. But you also say we shouldn't live in fear. Jennifer watched her husband wrestle with his own teachings. It was fascinating and sad at once. How about this, she suggested. Tomorrow, the three of us will talk to Michael together. Richard, you can see the situation for yourself. Richard hesitated but finally agreed. Ethan smiled for the first time since the incident. The next day was Saturday. The family went out together after breakfast. Jennifer had packed a meal of rice, beans, and a piece of chicken. Richard carried the bag of clothes, still reluctant. When they reached the corner, Michael wasn't in his usual spot. Ethan grew anxious. Where is he, Mom? They searched nearby and found him sitting by the square, clutching a worn backpack. Mr. Michael! Ethan ran toward him. Ethan, wait! Richard chased after, with Jennifer close behind. Michael looked up, startled to see the whole family. Good morning, he said softly. Richard studied the man before him. His clothes were worn but clean, as best as they could be. His face bore the marks of a hard life, but his eyes were kind, just as Jennifer had described. Good morning, I'm Richard, Ethan's father. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Michael Johnson. Sorry for the trouble. We brought some food and a few clothes. Jennifer stepped forward, handing over the bags. Michael was moved. His hands trembled as he accepted the donations. Thank you so much. You didn't have to. Mr. Michael, where are your stories? Ethan tugged at the man's sleeve. Tell the one about the fisherman. Ethan, don't bother him, Richard warned, but Michael smiled. It's no bother, sir. Your son brightens my days. As Michael told the story to Ethan, Richard and Jennifer stepped aside to talk. What do you think? Jennifer asked. He seems harmless, but I'm still not comfortable with this situation. How about we try something different? Instead of Ethan coming alone, we could stop by together sometimes, bring a meal. Richard considered the suggestion. It was a reasonable compromise. We can try. In the days that followed, they settled into a routine. 3 times a week, the family spent a few minutes with Michael, bringing food and chatting. Richard gradually let his guard down, especially after a conversation where Michael showed him a faded old photo of his son, Joshua. He's with my sister in Hartford, Michael explained. She doesn't want him seeing me like this. She's right, I suppose. What kind of example would I be? Are you trying to improve? Richard asked. Every day, sir. But it's hard to climb out of the hole when you're so deep. 2 weeks later, Richard came home with a thoughtful expression. Jennifer, I was thinking, that little room in the back, the one we use for storage. What about it? We could clean it out, put in a bed. Jennifer's eyes widened. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Just temporarily, until he gets back on his feet, finds a job, saves some money. Jennifer hugged her husband tightly. You're a good man, Richard Miller. Don't tell Ethan yet. I want to be sure it's the right decision. But Ethan, with that child's intuition, had already sensed the change in his father. That night before bed, he hugged Richard tightly. Thank you, Daddy. For what, champ? For giving Mr. Michael a chance. Richard kissed his son's forehead, moved. Maybe Ethan had been right all along. Maybe the world was dangerous, but that didn't mean they should stop helping others. The next day, Richard sought out Michael before work. He found him organizing his few belongings in his backpack. Michael, I need to talk to you. Good morning, Mr. Richard. Is something wrong? No, actually. Richard hesitated. It was harder than he'd imagined. I have a proposal. He explained about the back room, the possibility of Michael staying there temporarily. As he spoke, he saw the man's eyes fill with tears. Mr. Richard, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything now. Think it over. But there are conditions. You need to actively look for work, help with chores around the house and... Richard paused. And you need to tell me your whole story, the real one. Michael nodded, wiping his tears with the back of his hand. That's more than fair, sir, but why are you doing this? Richard looked up at the building where he lived, thinking of his son, who was surely watching from the window. Because my 6-year-old taught me that kindness shouldn't be afraid. That afternoon, Jennifer prepared the back room with Ethan's help. The boy was overjoyed, arranging every detail with care. Mum, do you think Mr. Michael will like it? I'm sure he will, sweetheart. But not everything would be smooth sailing. When the news spread through the building, reactions were mixed. Mrs. Peterson from apartment 203 was the first to knock on Jennifer's door. Is it true what they're saying? You're going to take in a homeless man? Jennifer took a deep breath before answering. We're helping someone in a tough spot, Mrs. Peterson. But Jennifer, think about safety. There are children in this building. I have a child, Mrs. Peterson, and she's the one who taught me about compassion. The older woman huffed off, vowing to bring it up at the next homeowners meeting. Richard faced similar resistance at work. During lunch, his colleague Kevin questioned him. Dude, have you lost your mind? Bringing a homeless guy into your home? It's temporary, Kevin. The man just needs a chance. What if he robs you? What if he does something to Ethan? Richard was starting to get annoyed, but part of him understood. These were the same fears he'd had at first. When Michael finally moved in on a rainy Thursday, he carried only a worn-out backpack and a heart full of gratitude. Ethan waited at the door, bouncing with excitement. Mr. Michael, come see your room. I helped set it up. The man stepped in, timidly, taking in every detail of the simple but welcoming home. When he saw the room, clean with a made-up bed, a small dresser, and even some clothes Richard had set aside, he couldn't hold back his tears. It's been 3 years since I slept in a bed, he murmured. Jennifer gently touched his shoulder. Now you will, the bathroom is right there. Clean towels are in the cabinet. Dinner was a mix of hope and tension. Michael barely touched his food, still processing the drastic change in his life. Go ahead and eat, Michael, Richard encouraged. Jennifer's a great cook. I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've sat at a table with a family. Ethan, ever direct, asked, Do you miss Joshua, Mr. Michael? The silence that followed was heavy. Michael looked down, wrestling with his emotions. Every day, Ethan, every day. Why don't you call him? It's complicated, kiddo. Sometimes when we hurt the people we love, even if we didn't mean to, it's hard to make things right. Jennifer gently changed the subject, but Richard grew thoughtful. After dinner, while she put Ethan to bed, he went to Michael's room. Michael, about your son... Mr. Richard, I'll understand if you've changed your mind. You've already been so generous. That's not it, Richard interrupted. I was thinking, do you have your sister's contact? Michael hesitated before answering. I have an old number. Don't know if it still works. How about we try calling tomorrow? You can use my phone. The hope that flickered in Michael's eyes was almost painful to see. You'd do that? Every father deserves a chance to talk to his son. The next morning, Richard woke to sounds from the kitchen. He found Michael already washing the previous night's dishes, coffee brewed, and the table set. Good morning, Mr. Richard. Hope you don't mind. I woke up early and wanted to help. Good morning. You didn't have to, but thank you. Over. Coffee, Ethan appeared, still sleepy, but his eyes lit up when he saw Michael. Mr. Michael, you're still here. Where else would I be, kiddo? The simple answer carried so much meaning that even Jennifer got emotional. After Richard left for work and Ethan for school, Jennifer sat down with Michael, eager to know him better. Michael, what did you do before all this? I was an accountant, Mrs. Jennifer. Worked at a mid-sized company on the south side. 20 years with them. What happened? Michael sighed, pouring himself more coffee. The company got sold. The new owners brought their own team. Overnight, me and 30 others were out on the street. Soon after, Patricia, my wife, was diagnosed with cancer. Jennifer listened quietly, letting him tell his story in his own time. I used up all our savings, sold the car, the house, but private treatment was too expensive. When she passed, I fell apart. I started drinking, lost control. My sister tried to help me, but I was inconsolable. One day she said she'd take Joshua until I got better. I agreed, thinking it would only be for a short time, and it wasn't. No, the deeper I sank, the harder it was to climb out. Without a fixed address, I couldn't get a job. Without a job, I couldn't get housing. And so it went for 3 years. Jennifer poured more coffee for both of them. But now it'll be different. Thanks to you, especially Ethan. That boy saved my life, Mrs. Jennifer. How so? Michael hesitated before continuing. 2 months ago, I was in a very dark place. I decided it wasn't worth going on. That's when Ethan showed up with a sandwich and a smile. "Hi, sir, are you hungry?" he asked. So simple, so pure. Jennifer felt a shiver. He kept coming back every day. Told me about school, about his friends, asked me about my stories. For the first time in years, someone saw me as a person, not a problem. "Michael, your son gave me a reason to keep going, Mrs. Jennifer. Now you're giving me a chance to start over. I won't waste it." That afternoon, when Richard came home from work, he brought the newspaper and helped Michael look for jobs. The man wrote down every possibility, even the simplest ones. "Should we try calling your sister?" Richard suggested. Michael paled but agreed. With trembling hands, he dialed the number. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Hello?" a woman's voice answered. "Emily? It's Michael." The silence on the other end was long. "Michael? Oh my God, is it really you?" "It's me, Emily. I wanted news about Joshua." "Michael, where are you? We've been worried for years." "I'm okay now, Emily. Finally okay. How's my son?" Jennifer and Richard stepped away discreetly, giving them privacy, but they could hear Michael crying as he talked. Ethan, who had just gotten home from school, wanted to go to him, but Jennifer held him back. "Let Mr. Michael talk, son. It's important." Half an hour later, Michael appeared in the living room, his face red but with a smile they'd never seen before. "Joshua is fine. He's in school getting good grades. Emily said he asks about me." "That's wonderful," Jennifer exclaimed. She was surprised, thought that something bad had happened to me. "We'll talk again. Sunday, she'll let me speak to Joshua." Ethan jumped into Michael's lap, hugging him. "You'll see your son just like I see my dad every day." But not everything would go smoothly. The following Sunday, the building meeting was tense. Mrs. Peterson had rallied other residents against Michael's presence. "It's a safety issue," she insisted. "We don't know his past." Richard stood up to speak. "I know his past. He's a father who lost everything trying to save his sick wife. He's a man fighting to get back on his feet." "But, Richard," Mr. Thompson from 301 interjected, "what if other homeless people start showing up? Are we turning the building into a shelter?" "We're not turning it into anything," Jennifer spoke up. "We're helping one person, just one, and temporarily." The discussion went on for another hour. In the end, it was decided Michael could stay, but under strict conditions. Any trouble and he'd have to leave immediately. When they got home, they found Michael and Ethan in the living room, building a city with blocks. "How did it go?" Michael asked, clearly anxious. "You can stay," Richard answered. The relief on Michael's face was clear. "But some people didn't like it," Ethan said with his childlike honesty. "Mrs. Peterson said mean things." "Ethan," Jennifer scolded. "It's true, Mom, but Dad stood up for Mr. Michael. He was like a superhero." The next morning, Michael left early to look for work. He came back in the evening, tired but determined. "How did it go?" Jennifer asked. "Tough, with no recent experience looking like that. But I won't give up." Richard came up with an idea. "Michael, you said you were an accountant. Do you still remember the routines?" "Of course, that's not something you forget." "My company needs temporary help in the tax department. It's not a permanent position, but it's a start. I can recommend you." Michael was speechless. Ethan broke the silence. See, Mr. Michael? I told you my dad was cool. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now back to the story. In the following days, Richard helped Michael prepare. He lent him clothes, paid for a haircut, and helped him put together a resume. Jennifer took care of the emotional side, noticing when Michael felt overwhelmed by so many changes. It's normal to feel this way, she said one afternoon, finding him crying in his room. You've been through a lot. It's just, sometimes it feels like a dream. I'm afraid I'll wake up and be back on the streets. You won't. We won't let that happen. On Sunday, the most awaited moment arrived, the call to Joshua. Michael was so nervous he could barely hold the phone. The whole family was in the living room offering silent support. Joshua? Michael said when the boy answered. It's Daddy, son. Daddy? Really, Daddy? It's me, sweetheart. I'm sorry it took so long to call. The conversation was short but intense. Joshua, now 9 years old, talked about school, his friends, and his soccer team. Michael hung on every word as if it were gold. Dad, are you coming back? Joshua asked at the end. I'm trying, son. Daddy is getting better so I can see you again. When he hung up, Michael was emotionally drained. Ethan came over and held his hand. It hurts to talk to him and not be able to hug him, huh? The child's simple wisdom struck Michael deeply. It does, little one, but it'll pass. My dad says all pain goes away if you don't give up. On Monday, Michael went for the interview at Richard's company. He wore the best borrowed clothes, arrived an hour early, and mentally reviewed everything he'd studied over the weekend. The wait at home was agonizing. Jennifer tried to distract herself with chores, but checked the clock every 5 minutes. Ethan, sensing the tension, was quieter than usual. When the door opened late in the afternoon, Michael walked in with an unreadable expression. So? Jennifer asked anxiously. Michael stayed silent for a few seconds, then a huge smile lit up his face. I got it. It's temporary, just 3 months, but I got it. Ethan shouted with joy and jumped into his arms. Jennifer hugged them both, tears streaming down her face. When Richard arrived, he found the three of them celebrating in the kitchen. Ethan had insisted on baking a cake. It was lopsided but made with love. Congratulations, Michael, Richard said, genuinely happy. You earned it. Thank you, Richard, for everything. Without you, without us, Richard corrected. We're a team now. Dinner that night was festive. Even Mrs. Peterson, passing by the hallway, heard the laughter and grew thoughtful. Maybe she'd misjudged the situation, but the challenges were just beginning. On his first day of work, Michael woke up at 4 in the morning, too nervous to go back to sleep. He showered, dressed, and double-checked everything. Relax, Jennifer said, finding him on his 3rd cup of coffee. It'll be fine. What if I forget something important? What if they realize I'm a fraud? You're not a fraud. You're a professional getting back on track. Ethan appeared in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Mr. Michael? Why? Are you up so early? Nerves, kiddo. Today's a big day. Ethan climbed onto his lap. You know what I do when I'm nervous at school? I take deep breaths and think of something fun, like the day you came to live here. Michael hugged the boy tightly. You're my guardian angel, you know that? At work, Michael gave it his all as if his life depended on it, and in a way it did. The first few days were tough. New systems, different routines, the constant fear of not being good enough. How's he doing? Jennifer asked Richard, one evening. Better than many full-time employees, the head of accounting is impressed. Really? Michael has an incredible eye for detail, and he works like every spreadsheet is the most important thing in the world. At home, a routine began to settle in. Michael woke up early, helped with breakfast, and left for work. In the evening, he helped Ethan with homework while Jennifer made dinner. Richard noticed his presence had brought an unexpected balance to the family, but not everything was perfect. One afternoon, Ethan came home from school crying. What happened, sweetheart? Jennifer asked, alarmed. Tyler said we adopted a beggar, that Mr. Michael is dirty and dangerous. Michael, who had just gotten home from work, overheard from the doorway. The impact of those words was visible on his face. "Ethan," he said softly, "Tyler isn't entirely wrong. I was a beggar. But you know what else I am?" Ethan shook, his head still sniffling. "I'm a person just like anyone else. I've had hard days, but I'm getting better. And you know why?" "Why?" "Because you believed in me when no one else did. You saw me as a person when the world saw me as trash." Ethan hugged Michael tightly. "You're not trash. You're my friend." Richard, who had arrived in time to hear the conversation, felt something shift inside him. That man was no longer just someone they were helping. He was part of the family. That weekend, something unexpected happened. The doorbell rang on Saturday morning. Jennifer answered and found a woman in her 40s standing there with a boy. "Can I help you?" "Sorry to bother you. My name is Emily. I'm Michael's sister." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Emily, please come in. Michael, come here." When Michael appeared and saw Joshua standing at the door, the world seemed to stop. Father and son stared at each other for long seconds before Joshua ran into his father's arms. "Daddy!" Michael dropped to his knees, hugging his son as if his life depended on it. Both were crying and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. My boy, Michael repeated. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for everything. Don't disappear again, Dad, promise? I promise, Daddy promises." Emily watched the scene, also moved. Jennifer invited her to sit while father and son reunited. When Michael called and said he was okay, that he had a job, I didn't believe it, Emily confessed. I had to see it with my own eyes. "He's been working really hard," Jennifer assured her. "I can see that. And this must be the famous Ethan." Ethan, who had been watching wide-eyed, waved shyly. "Hi, Aunt Emily. Michael talks about you a lot on the phone, says you saved his life." Ethan blushed but smiled proudly. The visit lasted all day. Joshua and Ethan quickly became friends, playing as if they'd known each other for years. Michael barely let go of his son, wanting to know every detail of the 3 lost years. "Dad, will you be able to visit me now?" Joshua asked during lunch. Michael looked at Emily, who sighed. "We can talk about regular visits, but Michael, you need to stay stable." "I will. I have too many reasons to give up now." When Emily and Joshua left that evening, with promises to return next month, Michael was exhausted but glowing. "Thank you," he said to the family. "You gave me back my son." "You always had your son," Richard replied. "You just needed to find yourself first." That night, Ethan asked a question that took everyone by surprise. "Mom, can Joshua come live here too?" Jennifer exchanged glances with Richard. "It's complicated, sweetheart. Joshua has his life in Hartford, school friends, but he misses his father." Michael intervened gently. "Ethan, I also wish Joshua could live with me. But now isn't the right time. I need to get stronger first, have my own place, be able to take proper care of him. But you're already strong. I'm getting stronger. It's different. It's like when you're learning to ride a bike. First with training wheels, then without, slowly until you gain confidence." The metaphor seemed to make sense to Ethan, who nodded thoughtfully. In the following weeks, life found a new rhythm. Michael excelled at work to the point where there was talk of a permanent position after his temporary period. Calls with Joshua happened weekly, sometimes with video, and with each conversation, father and son reconnected a little more. But the real test came from where no one expected. One rainy afternoon, Michael came home from work early, pale and shaking. "What happened?" Jennifer asked, alarmed. "I ran into some people from the old neighborhood. They laughed at me, said I was getting too big for my boots, that I'd be back where I belong soon enough." "Michael, you can't listen to that." "I know, but what if they're right? What if I can't keep all this up?" It was Ethan who answered with his childlike wisdom. "Mr. Michael, remember when you told me the story about the little bird who was afraid to fly?" Michael nodded weakly. "What happened to him in the end?" He realized the fear was bigger than the actual danger. "Exactly. You're already flying, Mr. Michael. You can't let fear make you forget you have wings." Richard arrived just then and sensed the tension. What's going on? Jennifer quickly explained. Richard sat beside Michael. You know, Michael, when I decided to help you, a lot of people said I was crazy, that I was putting my family at risk. And you were. No. I was teaching my son that the world can be better if we give people a chance. Showing him fear shouldn't win over compassion. But what if I fail? Then you get up and try again. That's what we all do every day. The conversation was interrupted by the phone. It was the head of the company's finance department. Michael, it's for you. Richard handed over the phone, puzzled. Michael answered with trembling hands. The family watched anxiously as he mostly listened, replying in monosyllables. When he hung up, he looked even paler. What is it? Jennifer asked worriedly. They want to hire me permanently. Said my work has been exceptional. They want me to sign the contract on Monday. The silence was broken by Ethan's joyful shout as he jumped into Michael's lap. You did it! You did it! Jennifer hugged them both while Richard proudly clapped Michael on the back. I told you you'd make it, Richard smiled. Congratulations, Michael was in shock. A permanent job. I'll have benefits again. I'll be able to rent a place, bring Joshua to visit. Easy, Jennifer soothed him. One step at a time. But Ethan wasn't so calm. Are you leaving? He asked in a small voice. Michael hugged him tight. Not now, kiddo, and when I do, I won't go far. You'll get sick of seeing me. Never, Ethan declared. That night, the celebration was modest but heartfelt. Michael called Emily and Joshua to share the good news. Joshua screamed so loudly with joy, it could be heard across the room. Dad, does this mean I can spend vacation with you? We'll talk to your aunt about it, son, but it's a real possibility now. On Sunday, something unexpected happened. Mrs. Peterson knocked on the door carrying a casserole dish. Jennifer, I made too much lasagna. Thought you might like some. Jennifer was surprised but thanked her. Mrs. Peterson hesitated at the door. I wanted to apologize. For what I said at the meeting, I was wrong. No need, Mrs. Peterson. I really do. I've seen how Mr. Michael has been trying so hard. I've seen how good he's been to little Ethan. I misjudged him. Mr. Michael appeared at that moment. Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Michael, congratulations on getting hired. Full-time, Richard told me. Thank you, Mom. If you need references to rent an apartment, you can count on me. Mrs. Peterson's change in attitude spread through the building. Soon, other residents began greeting Michael, some even offering help. On Monday, Michael signed his contract with steady hands. The company's HR department treated him with the respect due to any employee, without mentioning his difficult past. Welcome officially to the team, Michael. Thank you. You won't regret it. I'm sure we won't. Weeks turned into months. Michael, now stable in his job, began looking for a small apartment to rent. He didn't want to go too far. Ethan had become too important in his life. I found a place, he announced at dinner. It's small, just a studio, but it's a start. It's 3 blocks from here. Ethan immediately got excited. Can I see it? Can I help you move? Of course you can, kiddo. You're my official decorating consultant. Jennifer noticed a shadow of sadness in her son's eyes. What's wrong, Ethan? I'm gonna miss having Mr. Michael living here. But sweetheart, he'll be close by. We'll see him all the time. Promise? Ethan looked at Michael. I promise. You're still and always will be my first real friend. The move became a family affair. Richard rented a van, Jennifer organized boxes, and Ethan packed each item with special care. Michael didn't have much, but every piece carried the weight of his new life. Remember when you showed up with just that backpack? Ethan said. I remember. Feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago at the same time. The apartment was tiny, but it had big windows and plenty of light. Ethan ran around exploring every corner. This can be Joshua's room when he visits. Michael was moved by the boy's excitement. Good idea. We'll set it up so he feels at home. While they arranged the space, Jennifer pulled Michael aside. How are you feeling? Scared, he admitted. But it's a good kind of fear, you know? The kind you feel when you have something to lose again. You won't lose it. You've built a solid foundation. Thanks to you all. Thanks to you too. You took the chance and worked hard. The credit is yours. By the end of the day, the apartment felt like home. Simple, but dignified. Ethan insisted on leaving a drawing stuck to the fridge. Him and Michael holding hands with the words "best friends forever" written on it. So you don't forget, the boy explained. Impossible to forget, Michael replied, his voice thick with emotion. The first night in his own place was overwhelming. Michael sat in the small living room, looking around in disbelief. He called Joshua. "Son, Dad's in his new home." "Really, Dad? Is there room for me?" "There'll always be room for you, my love. Always." In the days that followed, a new routine settled in. Michael stopped by the Miller's house before work for coffee. On weekends, Ethan visited, helping decorate the apartment with drawings and little treasures they found at flea markets. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story, but life still had surprises in store. One afternoon, Richard came home with a serious expression. "We need to talk about Michael." Jennifer froze. "What happened? Something at work?" "Quite the opposite. HR wants to promote him, but there's a catch." "What is it?" "The position is for supervisor in accounting. Some of the senior employees aren't happy about possibly being managed by someone who's been there such a short time." "What did Michael say?" "They haven't talked to him yet. They wanted my opinion first." Jennifer thought for a moment. "And what's your opinion?" "He deserves it. He's the most competent on the team, but I don't want him to face discrimination." "Richard, he's already faced the worst kind of discrimination. Invisibility. I think he can handle office gossip." Richard agreed, and the next day, the proposal was made to Michael. He fell silent for several long minutes after hearing it. "Supervisor me," he murmured in disbelief. "You have the qualifications and have shown natural leadership," the HR manager explained. "But be transparent. Some might resist at first." "Sir, I spent 3 years being treated like nothing. I can handle resistance." "So, do you accept?" "I accept, and I'll prove I deserve it." The news of the promotion brought mixed reactions, as expected, but Michael faced every challenge with the same determination that had pulled him off the streets. Within 2 weeks, even the most resistant acknowledged his competence. Ethan was ecstatic. "Mr. Michael is the boss now. That's so cool." "Nothing changes between us, kiddo. I'm still your friend Michael." "I know, but it's nice to see you happy." The child's simple observation touched Michael deeply. Yes, he was happy. After years of darkness, he finally saw light. The big moment came the following month, Joshua's first weekend visit. Michael prepared everything meticulously. Ethan helped set up the space that would be Joshua's corner. "Do you think he'll like it?" Michael asked nervously. "He'll love it," Ethan assured him. "It's small, but it's yours. It's yours together." When Joshua arrived on Friday evening, the joy was palpable. Father and son hugged tightly at the door. "Wow, Dad, you have a house." "Our house, son. When you're here, it's ours." Ethan peeked shyly from behind Michael. "Hi, Joshua." "Ethan?" Joshua grinned. "Dad talks about you a lot. Says you're like my brother." Ethan blushed but smiled widely. "Can we be brother friends?" "Deal." The weekend was magical. Michael took the boys to the park, the movies, and made them a special breakfast. But the best moments were the simple ones, the 3 of them watching a movie on the small couch, playing board games, talking. "Dad," Joshua said Sunday morning, "you're different." "Different how?" "Happy. Before, even when you smiled, there was sadness in your eyes. Now it's gone." Michael hugged his son. "It's because I have hope now, son, and I have you back." The goodbye was hard, but it lacked the despair of before. Now there was certainty of the next visit, of the future being built. "Will you come back next month?" Michael asked hopefully. "If Aunt Emily says yes, I will." "I'll talk to her. Maybe for summer break you can stay longer." Joshua's eyes lit up. "That'd be awesome, Dad." After Joshua left, Ethan noticed Michael's melancholy. "Are you sad, Mr. Michael?" "A little. But it's a good kind of sad, you know. Missing someone because you love them. My dad says missing someone is love that stays when they're gone. Your dad is wise. He learned from you too. The other day I heard him tell Mom that you taught our family to be braver. Michael was surprised. I taught you? Yeah. Before, we were afraid of everything. Now we know helping others is worth it, even when it's scary. Life went on with its routines and surprises. Michael settled into his role as supervisor, earning respect for his competence and the humanity he showed his team. You have a special way, a colleague remarked. You treat everyone with dignity. I've learned everyone deserves dignity, Michael replied simply. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. Michael came across another homeless man near his building. The man, named Robert, was in the same situation Michael had been in months before. Michael paused, torn. Part of him wanted to walk away, to avoid painful memories. But then he remembered Ethan, the sandwich, the beginning of it all. Excuse me, he approached. Are you all right? Robert looked up with wary eyes. About as much as anyone can be in that situation. Michael sat on the sidewalk, keeping a respectful distance. I know how it is. I've been where you are. Doubt it. You're wearing a suit. It's been 6 months since I left the streets. 3 years living like that. Robert studied him more closely. Really? Really? And I know it seems impossible to get out, but it's not. Michael briefly shared his story. Robert listened, shifting between hope and disbelief. But you got lucky. You met good people. True, but I also had to accept help. That was the hardest step. Michael pulled a card from his pocket, wrote something on the back. This is the address of a support center. Tell them Michael Johnson sent you. They can help with documents, a shower, a meal. Why are you doing this? Because someone did it for me, and I promised myself I'd pay it forward when I could. Robert took the card with trembling hands. Thank you. Hang in there, friend. Life can change. When Michael recounted the episode to the Miller family at Sunday dinner, Ethan jumped for joy. You did what I did. You helped someone. Learn from the best teacher. Michael ruffled the boy's hair. Richard was thoughtful. You know, Michael, this gave me an idea. At the company, we have a social responsibility program. How about developing something focused on professional reintegration for people experiencing homelessness? Michael's eyes widened. Seriously? Why not? You're living proof it works. You could lead the project. I don't know what to say, Jennifer smiled. Say yes. You have unique experience for this. And I can help, Ethan volunteered. I can draw pictures for the project. The idea took shape in the following weeks. Michael developed a full proposal with stages for shelter, training, and reintegration. The company's board approved it enthusiastically. It's innovative and compassionate, the CEO remarked. Exactly the kind of project we need. The program launch was emotional. Nervous, Michael presented to employees and guests. Many see people experiencing homelessness as problems to avoid. I see wasted potential. This program is about giving chances, restoring dignity. Ethan sat in the front, row proud. Beside him, Joshua, who had managed to come for the special occasion. My dad's amazing, Joshua whispered to Ethan. I know. Always knew. The program started small, with 3 participants. Michael personally guided each one, remembering his own struggles and fears. Robert was among the first to enroll. You were right, Robert said at one meeting. It was possible to get out, just needed someone to believe in me. But not everything was immediate success. One participant, Brian, resisted all attempts at help. You don't get it, Brian said sharply. It's not just about a job. It's about everything we've lost. The shame, how people look at us. Michael took him aside. Brian, I understand more than you think. You got lucky. Not everyone has some sweet little kid to save them. The bitterness stung Michael. It was true, he had been lucky, but that didn't erase others' chances. You're right, I got lucky. But now I'm trying to be someone else's luck, including yours. Brian held his gaze before finally relenting. It's hard to believe again. I know, but it's worth trying. At home, challenges arose too. Joshua was spending more time with his father, creating new dynamics. One afternoon, the boys argued over a video game. "My turn," Joshua protested. "But you've played forever," Ethan shot back. "It's my dad's house." "But I knew him first." Michael and Jennifer stepped in before it escalated. "Boys, stop," Michael said firmly. "Joshua, being my son doesn't give you special rights over Ethan. Ethan, Joshua isn't a threat to our relationship." The boys exchanged embarrassed glances. "Sorry," they murmured together. Later, Michael spoke with each of them separately. With Joshua, he was direct. "Son, Ethan was my angel when I needed him most. He'll always have a special place in my life. But you're my son. These are different kinds of love. They don't compete. It's just, sometimes it feels like you like him more," Joshua confessed. "Why?" "You two have so many stories together. He saved you. I abandoned you." Michael hugged his son tightly. "You never abandoned me. You were a child, I'm the one who failed you. And every day I try to make up for that." With Ethan, the conversation was equally important. "Feeling jealous of Joshua?" Michael asked, gently. Ethan nodded, tears in his eyes. "Now that he's back, you won't need me anymore. Ethan, look at me. You taught me how to be human again. Without you, I never would have gotten my son back. You're irreplaceable. You're unique and special. Promise?" "I promise. You've gained a brother friend, not lost a friend." The boys' reconciliation was touching. They decided to create fair rules for games and, more importantly, began building a genuine friendship. The reintegration program faced its first major test when one of the participants, Anthony, disappeared. After 2 weeks of progress, Michael was devastated. "I failed him," he lamented to Richard. "You didn't. Not everyone is ready at the same time." "But what if he's in danger? What if he went back to drugs?" Richard noticed the real desperation in Michael's voice. "So let's go look for him." They spent the afternoon checking known spots where the homeless gathered. Finally, they found Anthony under an overpass, clearly drunk. "I came to get you," Michael said simply. "Not worth it," Anthony slurred. "I always ruin everything." "I used to think that too. It took time, but I made it. You will too." "It's different. You don't have my demons." Michael crouched beside him. "I have others. We all do. The point is not to let them win." With patience and persistence, they convinced Anthony to return. The program had to incorporate addiction treatment, a complexity Michael hadn't initially anticipated. "We're learning as we go," he said during an evaluation meeting. "Every person is a universe of needs." Jennifer, who had volunteered to help with the program's administrative side, made an important observation. "Michael, you can't save everyone. It's not your responsibility to carry the world on your shoulders. But if I can help, you can help without destroying yourself in the process. Remember, you're human too, with limits." The remark proved prophetic. In the following weeks, Michael threw himself into the program so intensely that he began neglecting his own health. Ethan was the first to notice. "Mr. Michael, you're getting skinny again." "I'm fine, kiddo, just a lot of work." But Jennifer noticed too. During a visit, she found the fridge nearly empty and Michael clearly exhausted. "Michael, we need to talk." "I'm fine, Jennifer." "No, you're not. You're sacrificing yourself again, just in a different way." Michael tried to protest, but Jennifer stood firm. "You can't help anyone if you get sick." Ethan would be devastated. Joshua would be devastated. We all would be. The mention of the boys made Michael pause. "I just feel like I owe so much. I've received so much. I need to give back." "And you are, but with balance. Come have dinner with us tonight." The family dinner was revealing. Michael was truly exhausted, barely, keeping his eyes open. "How many hours have you been sleeping?" Richard asked worriedly. "Enough," Michael deflected. "Mr. Michael," Ethan held his hand, "you taught me we have to take care of ourselves to take care of others, remember?" Once again, the wisdom of a child hit the mark. Michael noticed the irony. He was repeating self-destructive patterns, just in a new guise. "You're right, I'm overdoing it." "How about sharing the responsibilities more?" Richard suggested. "Hiring assistants, delegating tasks?" "But it's my project." "And it will stay yours. but it doesn't have to be yours. Alone. The program's restructuring brought relief and efficiency. With a small but dedicated team, Michael could focus on the most important aspects without overburdening himself. One day, he received an unexpected call. It was his old boss from the company where he'd worked for 20 years. Michael. Johnson. Mrs. Wilson. My God, it really is you. I heard about your project. I'm impressed. The conversation was emotional. Mrs. Wilson confessed she'd always regretted not fighting harder to keep Michael and other employees during the company's sale. We'd like to support your project as sponsors. Michael was speechless. The company that had unintentionally started his downfall now wanted to help him in his mission to recover others. It's ironic, he managed to say. It's redemption, she corrected, for all of us. The sponsorship allowed the program to expand significantly. More spots, better structure, specialized professionals. Ethan watched it all with pride. Mr. Michael's become important. No, kiddo, I'm just doing what you taught me, helping those in need. But on a bigger scale. That's true, Michael laughed. Joshua, during one of his visits, asked an important question. Dad, can I help with the project too? How do you mean, son? I don't know. Maybe talk to people. Tell them that even when I was far away, I never stopped loving you. That family can survive anything. Michael hugged his son, moved. That would be perfect, son, perfect. But the real test was yet to come. Emily called with a proposal that would change everything. Michael, I got a job offer in New York City. I'm thinking of accepting. That's great, Emily. It means Joshua could live with you if you want, if you're ready. Michael nearly dropped the phone. His son living with him permanently. It was a dream and a terror at the same time. Emily, I really want to, but am I ready? You have a stable job, a home, a support network. Michael, you've rebuilt yourself. It's time to have your son back. After hanging up, Michael was in shock. Jennifer and Richard, who were visiting, noticed his expression. What happened? Michael explained, his voice trembling. Ethan immediately jumped for joy. Joshua's gonna live here, we'll be real neighbors. But Michael was terrified. What if I'm not a good father? What if I ruin everything? Michael, Jennifer said gently, you're already a good father. You just need to believe it. But taking care of him every day, the responsibility? You took care of yourself, got off the streets, created a project that's changing lives. You can take care of your son, Richard said with conviction. The next weeks were filled with intense preparation. Michael turned the makeshift space into a real bedroom for Joshua. Ethan helped with every detail. You need a desk for studying, and shelves for books, and space for games. Ethan, it's not your house, Jennifer reminded him gently, but I'll visit every day. Michael laughed, already picturing the dynamic between the two boys. The reintegration program was also at a crucial moment. The first group was graduating, with 7 of the 10 participants securing jobs. Robert was one of them. I did it, Michael. Steady job, rent paid. A decent life again. You did it. I just showed you the way. Don't downplay your role. You saved my life just like that boy saved yours. At the symbolic graduation ceremony for the first group, Ethan sat in the front row, applauding every achievement. Joshua was also there, proud of his father. My dad's a hero, he told anyone who'd listen. But it was Brian, the resilient one, who gave the most moving speech. I didn't believe it was possible. Michael proved me wrong, not with pretty words, but by example. If he could do it, so could I. Today I have a job, dignity, and hope. Thank you for not giving up on me. Michael discreetly wiped away tears. Richard placed a hand on his shoulder. Proud of you, my friend. The words took Michael by surprise. Yes, Richard had become his friend. Not just the man who saved him, but a true friend. Joshua's change happened on a sunny Saturday. Emily helped organize everything, visibly emotional. Take good care of him, Michael. With my life, Emily. Thank you for trusting me again. You earned that trust. It wasn't given, it was deserved. Ethan was there, helping Joshua settle into his room. Now we're almost real brothers, he declared. Almost? Joshua asked, smiling. Brothers at heart. The first week was all about adjustment. Michael discovered that being a full-time dad was different from occasional visits. There was school routine, homework, regular meals, rules. "Dad, do I really have to go to bed at 9? Joshua questioned. "At your age, yes, sleep is important. Ethan stays up later. Ethan has different parents with different rules. Here, it's 9 o'clock. Jennifer was the one who helped with practical parenting. Tips. Years of experience with Ethan were generously shared. Consistency is key, she advised, and patience, a lot of patience. The real test came when Joshua had trouble at his new school. Some kids found out about Michael's past and started teasing Joshua. "They said my dad was a beggar," Joshua came home crying, "that we lived in the trash." Michael felt anger rise but controlled himself. He sat with his son. "And what did you say?" "Nothing. I ran away." "Joshua, look at me. It's true, I was homeless. It's not shameful, it's overcoming. Your father fell and got back up. How many of those kids' dads can say the same? But it hurts, Dad. I know, but you know what matters. We're together now. We have a home, food, love, more than many. People who've never struggled." Ethan, who was visiting, chimed in. "Joshua, you know what I say when someone talks bad about your dad?" "What?" "That he's a hero, that he saved a lot of people, that he's braver than any superhero because his heroes are real." Joshua wiped his tears. "Can I say that too?" "Of course, it's true." Michael hugged both boys, his heart full. How his life had changed because of a sandwich offered with love. The reintegration program grew, gaining recognition. Michael was invited to speak at companies, universities, social events. He always carried his simple message: everyone deserves a second chance. At one of these talks, something extraordinary happened. At the end, a well-dressed man approached. "Michael? Michael Johnson?" Michael studied the face, something familiar in those features. "I'm sorry, do we know each other?" "We were college classmates. Daniel Anderson. I heard your story. What you went through, what you're doing now." Michael was speechless. Daniel had been one of the most promising students in their class. "Daniel, it's been so long. I came to offer help. I'm now the HR director of a multinational company. We want to expand your model, implement it in our branches." The proposal was overwhelming. Michael had to sit down. "This could affect hundreds of people, thousands potentially. But we need you to train, guide, ensure it keeps its human essence." Michael looked at Ethan and Joshua, who had insisted on coming with him to the talk. Both boys smiled proudly. "I accept, but on one condition." "What?" "The project will be called the Sandwich Program, in honor of the gesture that changed everything." Daniel smiled, confused but agreeing. Later, Ethan asked, "Why Sandwich Program, Mr. Michael?" "Because you gave me more than food that day, Ethan. You gave me dignity. I want all participants to receive the same." But life still held challenges. Joshua began having nightmares, finally processing the separation from years before. He'd wake up calling for his father, afraid he'd disappeared again. "I'm here, son. I'll always be here," Michael reassured him. "Promise? Promise you won't leave again?" "I promise. Daddy's strong now. I'm not going anywhere." They sought professional help. The therapist explained it was normal, part of the reconnection process after trauma. "You're both healing together," she said. "It's beautiful to see." The process was painful but necessary. Michael also faced his own demons in therapy: the guilt, the fear of failure, the feeling he didn't deserve his current happiness. "You do deserve it," the therapist affirmed. "You fought for it. You earned it. Now you need to let yourself live fully." Ethan remained a constant presence. His friendship with Joshua grew into a true brotherhood. The two were inseparable. "Mom," Ethan said one day, "can I call Michael Uncle?" Jennifer smiled. "I think he'd love that." When Ethan first said it, Michael had to hide his emotion. "Uncle Michael," he repeated, savoring the words. "I like that." The Sandwich Program became a national model. Michael often traveled for implementations, always eager to return home. Joshua would greet him with tight hugs. "How many people did you save this time, Dad?" I don't save anyone, son, I just show them it's possible. On one trip, Michael reunited with Anthony, the man who had relapsed. He'd been clean for 6 months, working, rebuilding. You never gave up on me, Anthony thanked him, even when I gave up on myself. I learned from a 6-year-old boy that you don't give up on people, Michael replied. The program's first anniversary was celebrated with a party. Over 50 people had been reintegrated, each with their own story of overcoming. Richard gave an emotional speech. A year ago, I made a decision many called crazy. Today, I see it was the wisest of my life. Michael didn't just rebuild himself, he lifted others with him. Ethan didn't just feed a man, he nourished a chain of kindness that keeps growing. Ethan blushed at the applause, but his smile lit up the room. At the party's end, Michael gathered the 2 boys. I need to thank you both. Why, Dad? Joshua asked. Ethan saved me when I was lost. You, Joshua, gave me a reason to stay strong. You're both my angels. Not angels, Ethan corrected. Family. Family, Joshua agreed. The 3 hugged, watched by Jennifer and Richard. The couple exchanged emotional glances. The risk was worth it, Jennifer whispered. Every second, Richard agreed. But fate still had twists in store. Emily called with troubling news. She'd lost her job in New York City due to company cuts. I might need Joshua back, she said hesitantly. I may have to return to Hartford. Michael felt the ground vanish. Joshua, overhearing, began to cry. I don't want to go, I want to stay with my dad. Easy, son, we'll figure this out. Michael called Emily, proposing alternatives. What if you stayed in New York? I can help until you're back on your feet. Michael, you've already done so much for us. Emily, you took care of our son when I couldn't. Let me return the favor. After much discussion, Emily agreed. Michael helped financially and with contacts. Within 3 weeks, she had a new job. You've really changed, Emily observed over coffee. The Michael I knew couldn't even take care of himself. Now you care for hundreds. People change when given love and opportunity. Joshua is happy. With you. I've never seen him so balanced. He balances me too. Both boys teach me something every day. The second year of the program brought international expansion. Michael was invited to conferences, sharing the American model of reintegration. Ethan, now 8 years old, continued to follow everything closely. Uncle Michael, you're famous. I don't want fame, Ethan. I want change. But you're getting both. The observation was true. Newspaper articles, interviews, awards. Michael accepted everything with humility, always mentioning the boy who started it all. Joshua was proud of his father, but also jealous of the divided attention. Sometimes I wish you were just my dad, not everyone's dad, he confessed. Michael stopped everything to have a serious talk. Son, you'll always be my priority, always. The others are work. Your life. Promise? Here's what we'll do. Every Friday is ours. No work, no program, nothing. Just the 2 of us. What about Ethan? Ethan has his own parents. Friday is father and son day. The agreement worked. Fridays became sacred, moments of pure connection between Michael and Joshua. A nearly tragic incident tested everyone's strength. Michael fell ill during a lecture and was rushed to the hospital. The diagnosis, extreme exhaustion and early signs of burnout. Jennifer was firm during her visit. I warned you. You were burning yourself out again. Ethan was frightened, clutching Michael's hand. You can't get sick, Uncle, you can't. I'm sorry I scared you. I'll take better care of myself. Joshua was inconsolable. It's my fault. You work too hard to give me nice things. No, son, it's never your fault. Daddy just didn't know how to balance. Richard was practical. Enough. You're taking a month off, no arguments. But the program, the team is trained, it'll survive. You need to survive first. The forced month of rest was revealing. Michael rediscovered small pleasures, unhurried breakfasts, afternoons, at the park with the boys, family dinners without watching the clock. I was living for work again, he reflected with Jennifer. Old patterns in new clothes, but you caught it in time. Thanks to you, always thanks to you. His return was different. Michael set boundaries, delegated more, trusted. the team. The program didn't just survive, it thrived with decentralization. "See," Richard remarked, "you don't have to be a superhero alone. Ethan already taught me that. Sometimes I forget the lessons." "That's why I repeat them," Ethan chimed in with a smile. Life found a new balance. Michael continued leading the program, but sustainably. Joshua flourished, secure in his father's love. Ethan remained the light that started it all. One ordinary afternoon, the three were at the park. Michael watched the boys play when an older man approached. "Excuse me, are you Michael Johnson?" "Yes." "My name is Walter. I was a friend of Robert's, from the program." Michael noticed the past tense. "Was. Robert passed away last month. Heart attack. But before that, he asked me to find you." Michael felt the impact. Robert, his first success in the program. "He left this." Walter handed him an envelope. Michael opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter and a photo of Robert in his work uniform, smiling. "Michael, if you're reading this, my old heart couldn't take it anymore. But I want you to know, I lived my last months with dignity thanks to you. I died a man, not an animal. I died a worker, not a beggar. I died grateful. Thank you for giving me back my humanity. Take care of the program. There are still so many Tommies out there needing an Ethan and a Michael. Hugs, Robert." Michael cried right there, unashamed. The boys ran to him. "What's wrong, Uncle?" Ethan asked, worried. "A friend is gone, but he left well." "How does someone leave well?" Joshua asked. "When they leave in peace, son, with dignity restored." Robert's funeral was simple but full. Many from the program attended. Michael spoke about second chances, about the importance of every life saved. "Robert taught me that it's never too late to start over. That restored dignity is worth more than lost years." Ethan held Michael's hand throughout the service. "Is he happy now?" he whispered. "I believe so, Ethan. He's at peace." The loss of Robert paradoxically strengthened the program. More volunteers showed up. More companies became interested, as if Robert was still helping even after he was gone. A year later, something happened that brought things full circle. Patricia, the wife of a new program participant, sought out Michael. "My husband has been in the program for 3 months. The change is incredible." "I'm glad to hear that. But I came here for another reason. I have a 9-year-old son. He wants to meet you." "Me?" "He saw you on TV, heard his father talk about you. Said he wants to be like the boy Ethan when he grows up. He wants to help people." Michael was moved. "Of course I can meet him." The boy, Jake, was shy but determined. "Mr. Michael, how do I help people like Ethan did?" Michael crouched down. To his level. "It's simple, Jake. When you see someone in need, don't look away. Offer what you can, even if it seems small. A smile, a kind word, a sandwich. Small gestures change the world." "Can I really?" "Of course you can. Everyone can. Ethan was 6 when he changed my life." Jake left feeling inspired. 2 weeks later, Patricia returned to share. Jake had started a campaign at school to collect food for the homeless. He said he wants to start a chain of kindness like Ethan did. Ethan, who was there for the conversation, smiled proudly. "Uncle, I started a movement." "You started something better, Ethan. You created hope that multiplies." The program celebrated 3 years with impressive numbers. 500 people reintegrated, 20 partner companies, the model replicated in 10 states. At the celebration, Michael gave an emotional speech. 3 years ago, I was invisible. A little boy saw me. Today, hundreds see hope where there was despair. That's the power of kindness in action. Ethan, now 9, stepped onto the stage. "Can I say something too?" Michael smiled and handed him the microphone. "When I gave you that sandwich, I just didn't want Mr. Michael to be hungry. I didn't know it would turn into all this. But I learned one thing. You never know how much good a small gesture can do. So make small gestures, lots of them, every day." The audience erupted in applause. Joshua started chanting, "Ethan, Ethan." Jennifer wiped away tears, hugging Richard. "Our boy's grown up," she whispered. "But he's still teaching," Richard replied proudly. After the party, their extended family gathered for dinner. Michael, Joshua, the Millers. The table was full of love and shared stories. "You know," Michael said during dessert, "sometimes I still can't believe everything that's happened." "I believe it," Ethan said simply. "I always knew you were special." "No, Ethan, you're the special one. You saw humanity where others saw a problem." "Everyone's human," Ethan mused. "Sometimes people forget, but it's still true." Joshua raised his glass of juice. "A toast to Ethan, who saved my dad, to my dad who saves others, to the family we've chosen." "To family," everyone cheered. That night, Michael tucked Joshua into bed and stepped onto the small balcony of his apartment. He looked out at the city, thinking of all the stories of pain and triumph happening at that very moment. His phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Michael Johnson?" "Yes. My name is Father Thomas. I work at a parish on the east side. I've heard about your program. We have so many people in need." "Let's schedule a meeting," Michael replied without hesitation. Hanging up, he smiled. The work continued. The chain of kindness wouldn't stop. Ethan appeared on the porch. He should have been sleeping at his own house, but had convinced his parents to let him stay over at Uncle Michael's. "More people to help?" "There always are, kiddo." "That's good. It means we can make more of a difference. Don't you ever get tired of helping?" "No, like you said, the more we give, the more we have." Michael hugged the boy who had changed his life. "What would I be without you?" "The question is, what would I be without you, Uncle? Just an ordinary kid." "You were never ordinary, Ethan. You've always been extraordinary. You just needed the chance to show it." They stood there, watching. The city quietly planning new ways to spread hope. Joshua appeared, rubbing his eyes. "Dad, Ethan, why are you up?" "Saving the world," Ethan answered with a grin. "Can I help?" "Of course." Michael pulled them both into an embrace. "There's always room for one more hero." The three stood together, bound by something stronger than blood, ties forged in kindness, tempered by resilience, sealed in love. The next morning, routine resumed. Breakfast together, laughter, plans. But now there was something different, the certainty that each day was a chance to make a difference. Michael dropped the boys at school and headed to the programs office. On the way, he passed the corner where it all began. He smiled at the memory. A young man sat in the same spot, shoulders slumped just as Michael's had been years ago. Michael pulled over. He grabbed the lunch Jennifer had packed for him and approached. "Good morning. Hungry?" The young man eyed him warily. "Why are you offering me food?" "Because someone once did the same for me, and it changed everything." He handed over the meal and a program card. "If you want a fresh start, come to this address. Ask for Michael." "Is this some kind of trick?" "No, it's hope. The choice is yours." Michael returned to his car, leaving the young man with the food and possibilities. In the rearview mirror, he watched him take a bite of the sandwich while reading the card. Another seed planted, he thought. At the office, the team greeted him with news. Another company wanting to join, more success stories coming in. "Boss," said Jessica, his assistant, "there's an important call for you. It's from the Department of Social Development." Michael answered, curious. "Mr. Johnson, this is Secretary Samantha Brooks. We'd like to discuss turning your program into a national public policy." Michael had to sit down. Public policy? National? How many lives could that reach? "I'm at your disposal, Secretary." "Wonderful. Can we schedule a meeting in Washington, D.C.? After hanging up, Michael thought of Ethan. The 6-year-old who'd offered a sandwich had started something that might change the country. He called Jennifer. "You won't believe what just happened." "Tell me," he explained. Jennifer shrieked with joy. "Ethan's going to lose it. Wait till he finds out his sandwich could become a law." "The Sandwich Act," Michael laughed. "I like it." The news spread fast. That afternoon, when he picked up the boys from school, they tackled him with hugs. "Dad, is it true? Are we going to change the United States?" Joshua asked excitedly. "We're going to try, son." "Uncle Michael," Ethan squeezed his hand, "remember when you said small acts change the world?" "I do." "I think we proved it's true." "We proved it, Ethan. Together." The meeting in Washington, D.C. was a success. The program would be adapted and rolled out nationwide with Michael as lead consultant. On the flight back, he reflected on the journey, from living on the streets to advising the government. It sounded like fiction, but it was pure reality. He got home late, but Joshua was still awake. "Dad, how was it?" "Incredible, son. We'll be able to help people across the whole country." "I'm proud of you." "I'm the one who's proud of you, kiddo, for waiting up, for forgiving me, for loving me even when I didn't deserve it." "You always deserve love, Dad. Ethan taught me that." Michael smiled. Ethan's lessons spread like ripples, touching everyone around. Months passed in preparation. The national launch of the program was scheduled for Giving Day. Michael insisted Ethan be there. "But Uncle, I didn't do anything special." "Ethan, you did everything. It's only right you're there." Jennifer and Richard agreed, too proud to refuse. The event was grand. Officials, the press, beneficiaries of the program from various states. But the most touching moment was when they called Ethan to the stage. The boy, now almost 10, walked up shy but determined. The minister bent down to speak to him. "Ethan, do you know your kindness is changing the country?" "I just gave a sandwich, ma'am. And that sandwich multiplied into hope for thousands. Thank you, our little big hero." Ethan blushed but smiled. Michael and Joshua applauded, with tears in their eyes. The national program was officially named the Second Chance Program Sandwich Project. The story of Ethan and Michael became a symbol of how small acts can spark great change. That evening, during the family celebration, Richard made a speech. "When Ethan wanted to give food to a stranger, I was afraid. Today, I'm grateful he taught me love is stronger than fear." Jennifer added, "And I thank Michael for proving everyone deserves a second chance." Michael stood up. "I thank you all for being the family that saved me, and I promise to keep honoring the trust and love I've received." Ethan jumped in. "I'm thankful everyone here is amazing, and that I get 2 pieces of cake today." Everyone laughed. Joshua hugged Ethan. "Bro, you're the best. You too, man." The scene was perfect. A family formed by choice, united by love, strengthened by perseverance. Years later, the Second Chance program had reintegrated over 10,000 people. Ethan, now a teenager, remained involved as a youth ambassador. Michael became an international reference in social reintegration. Joshua followed in his father's footsteps, studying social work. One afternoon, the 3 visited the corner where it all began. A plaque had been placed. "Hope was born here, a boy, a sandwich, endless possibilities." "They went overboard," Ethan remarked, now taller than Michael. "Not at all," Michael disagreed. "It's the pure truth." "Dad's right." Joshua supported. "You changed the world, Ethan. We changed it together." The 3 hugged there, where invisibility became visibility, where despair found hope. A boy walked by with his mother just then. He stopped and stared. "Mom, why are they hugging in the street?" "I don't know, sweetheart." The boy approached. "Mister, why are you happy here?" Ethan crouched to his level. "Because here, we learned helping others is what truly makes us happy." "How do you help others?" "Start small, see someone in need, offer help. It could be a smile, a kind word, sometimes even a sandwich." The boy thought. "Can I do that?" "Of course you can. What's your name?" "Tommy." "Tommy, you can change the world. Believe me?" "I do." The mother pulled the boy away, slightly embarrassed, but Tommy left differently. With a seed planted, Michael, Joshua, and Ethan watched them go. "Think he'll make a difference, Ian?" Joshua asked. "Everyone can make a difference," Ethan replied. "You just have to start." "And the chain continues," Michael finished. The sun set over New York City. 3 generations united by an act of kindness looked to the future with hope. On the program's office wall, a framed quote summed it all up. "Kindness is a sandwich. The more you share, the more people it feeds." And so, what began with a boy, a homeless man, and a sandwich became a quiet revolution of love and second chances. Michael checked his phone. A new message. Another company wanting to implement the program. "More lives to transform, shall we?" he asked the boys. "Always," they replied in unison. They walked through the city, 3 unlikely heroes bound by fate, ready to keep changing the world, one act of kindness at a time. Because in the end, Ethan had been right from the start. Small gestures really do change the world. You just need the courage to offer that first sandwich. The end of the story. So, dear listener, what did you think of Michael and Ethan's journey? Let us know in the comments if you also believe in the power of small gestures. Subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories and share this video to spread hope. Thank you so much for joining us.